Now, the vast majority, approximately 95% of the people of all countries, go around and around without aim or purpose. They drift with the circumstances of life, good or bad.
A drifter is one who permits himself to be influenced and controlled by circumstances outside of his own mind.
Whereas the successful individuals create their own circumstances and ride them to victory.
When you're on purpose, you're living on purpose. You will never quit if you have a real purpose.
A burning desire to be and to do is the starting point from which the dreamer must take off. But what I have done has been recorded, it's been tested, it's being taken to a free world, and it's going to benefit millions of people who are not yet born.
And it's going to benefit millions of people who are not yet born. We're some of those people that we're spreading this to the world. As your awareness grows, the doubt is gone so that you can manifest whatever it is your heart desires. Isn't that beautiful?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to day one of this amazing 5-day event, From Drifter to Leader, Awaken Your Lion Within. I'm so excited to be here with every single one of you. My name is Brenda Lee Cintron. I'm a master coach and part of the leadership team here at the Napoleon Hill Institute. And I am so excited because this topic that we have going on this week, the topic of this event, is going to transform your life. Today's topic is, are you a drifter? And I want every single one of you guys to ask yourselves that question. Are you a drifter? Do you know that 95% of the population are drifting? They're going through life without purpose, without goals, without ambition, without knowing what do they want. They just wake up every day and do the same thing every day. They do what everybody else is doing. They're drifting and they go without knowing who they truly are and the power that they have within. So today we have an amazing speaker. We have a lineup of speakers all week. We're going to have Cleona come in and out. She's going to teach us. She's going to introduce most of our speakers. But today is a special day because the speaker that we have coming up next is a very special friend, is very dear to my heart. And I want you guys to make sure that you immerse yourself in this material. This will change your life this week. Immerse yourself in the next 5 days. Take notes, do the assignments, show up, be present, participate, do everything the speakers tell you. And I can guarantee you that your life will never be the same. You will be a transformed person. You will become a leader of your life. Okay, so let me introduce the speaker for today. He's actually one of ours here at the Napoleon Hill Institute. He's one of our trainers, our coaches. Let me read his bio. His name is Leffer Fate. Leffer Fate is a leader. He's a speaker, trainer, and coach. He's certified to facilitate, speak, train, and coach individuals and groups in the areas of leadership development, professional skills, and personal growth with the Napoleon Hill Foundation and the Napoleon Hill Institute. Professionally, he has mentored and served thousands of people. A great leader once said, "The two greatest days in a person's life are the day he or she was born and the day he or she discovers why they were born." He believes there is a why for everyone, that each of us was created with the potential to achieve greatness, to make a difference in the world, to add value to others, and as a result, experience a full and rewarding life. For over 30 years, Leffer's purpose was to defend our nation. We're so proud of him. And now that purpose is helping people discover their life's purpose and grow their full potential. In this endeavor, he has written or co-written 9 books, including one with Don Green, the executive director of the Napoleon Hill Foundation. And with all of these accolades, his greatest joy is being a husband, a father, and a grandfather. Please, please, please help me welcome Leffer Fate. Oh my gosh, my friend. Welcome. Hey. I'm so excited that you're here today.
Hey, Brenda Liz, I'm so excited to be here too. But I got a problem with your introduction. You left something out. One of my greatest joys is to call myself your friend. You have been somebody that I've respected and loved since the day we got a chance to meet. So thank you for introducing me, and thank you for going on this journey with me. I'm excited about talking about this topic, drifting to leader.
Thank you, Lefford. It's mutual. Take it away.
Yes. Hello, everybody. Lefford Fate, great to be here. I'm excited to talk to you today about this whole idea of going from drifting to leader. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think all of us lead sometimes, and I think all of us drift sometimes. And this was never more apparent to me than an event that I recently went to. It was in February 24th. My oldest sister, Carolyn, passed away. And she passed away in a way that we didn't know she was going to. We had just talked to her. We had just seen her. She had gone to the hospital. They were about to release her. My nephew and niece had actually gone home to set up the house so she'd be okay. And before they can get in the vehicle to go pick her up, they got a call from the hospital and said that she's gone. And it was a serious blow to my family, my other sisters and brothers, my nieces and nephews, my cousins. It was a significant blow. But it got me to thinking how fast we can be gone. A few weeks earlier, it was February 13th, my youngest grandson, Rhythm Fate, was born. And it was an amazing thing to be. I love being a grandpa. Papa is like the coolest job description in the world. I love being a coach, but being a grandpa is like amazing. And then I was thinking about that. So I was thinking about my new grandson, and then I was thinking about losing my sister. And then I had this opportunity to talk about this whole thing about drifting and leadership. And what's important to me, and I hope it's important to you also, is you may have heard this thing about the dash between the day that you're born and the day that you die. There's this dash, and the dash is what we do in between all of those things. And many of us live our lives by default and don't live our life by design. And living life by default is the definition of what a drifter is. And Cleona gave a beautiful understanding of what a drifter is, right? But in basic terms, it's just somebody that goes with the flow. And to be honest, I've heard so many times over my lifetime that, I'm just going with the flow. I'm going with the flow. And we take that as a good thing. But there is no flow up. Nobody's ever drifted to the top of the mountain. No one has ever drifted to anything but failure. And even though you can get to a point where you're successful and you're leading, and if you just stay there without growth and development and learning, you'll find yourself drifting downward. So to me, if you're not leading, you're drifting. And if you're not leading well, you're drifting. So today, we're going to spend a little time talking about this whole idea of drifting, what it looks like, what leadership looks like, how we can find ourselves in a situation where we can arrest it, right? When I say arrest it, I mean, even though we're at a good place, and all of us here, we study, we learn, we know these principles. We've studied everybody from Napoleon Hill, from Anthony Robbins to Zig Ziglar. We've studied all these people. But how do we keep ourselves at a level where we're not drifting down and we're keeping this thing moving? So I'll do a few things. And the beautiful thing that we can do, Jeff or Brenda Lees, if there's an opportunity to have people put questions into the chat, if you pop stuff in, because I want this to be interactive. Y'all know I love talking, right? I love it. But I also want to be of value. So I want to give us an opportunity for us to discuss as we go. So what is this whole thing with drifting? And it comes from the book Outwitting the Devil. And when you look at this whole thing, it was Napoleon Hill having a conversation with the devil, our banal, our worst side, right? And he was talking about how the devil has influenced us, 98% of the population, in a way so we're lost, we're drifting down, and we're not getting there. And so a drifter is someone that is just, they don't have a definite major purpose. They don't know what they want. And because I can't see you, and nobody can really see you, I want you to do this for yourself. I'm gonna ask some questions and raise your hand or write it down, because this is not just something for us to talk about and you just hear my voice. I want you to do something with it. Brenda Lee's at the very end of this is gonna offer us up a survey that we can take an assessment so we can see if we're a drifter or not. But raise your hand if you've ever struggled when somebody asks you this question. What is it that you want to do? Who do you want to become? Who are you? You know, a lot of us don't really know what we want. And because human beings, we're teleological. And what teleological means, we aim at something. And when we aim at something, we go get that thing. But if you don't aim at something, if you don't have a target to reach for, you'll just wander through life. Zig Ziglar said you'd be a wandering generality. And so a drifter is a person that doesn't know what they want. So if you ask yourself that question, and let's be honest, again, you cannot be aware of anything that you're not aware of. And because you can't be aware of something unless you're aware of it, we have to own up to our things. So are you the type of person that know exactly what they want? Many years of my life, and you heard my bio and it sounds really good, but the reality is I've not always been that guy. I kind of went for what my parents wanted me to do. I kind of went with what was easy for me to do. I kind of went with what society says somebody that looks like me should do. And so for many, many years, I didn't go for what I really want. And guess what happened? I kind of took the leftovers of what life had for me. A drifter also somebody that doesn't have self-confidence. We don't believe that we're good. We don't believe that we have value. We believe things like, I will be good when I get this degree. I'll be good when I get this certification. I'll be good when this person recognizes me. I'll be good when I get to be this particular age, when I have this amount of money, when I have this credential. We lack the confidence in who we are. And that is what a drifter looks like. Now, somebody's probably sitting right there now saying, well, but Leffert, think about it. You know, are you saying that I shouldn't grow and develop and get better and want for more? No. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you are enough regardless of what you have. I'm a person of faith, and I believe that we're all wonderfully and beautifully made. I know that Leffert Fate at his core is good people. And even when I make a mistake, when I do the wrong things, I'm a good person. It is my requirement to get better and to try to adjust and to live into my full being. But I have to have confidence in me. You have to have confidence in you that how you're behaving isn't necessarily who you are as a person. So we have confidence that we can get to where we need to be. And again, drifters always looking for validation. We need to be able to validate ourselves. And then listen to me, because again, this is hugely important. I'm not saying that we're not supposed to grow and develop. I'm saying that you are enough and that we're seeking to expand and to express that. You are loved. And there is nothing you can do about that love, baby. I just wanted you to know that. A drifter is a person who's looking for the easy way out. And why is this important for us coaches and trainers and speakers? Why is it important for people? The reason I think this thing is so important, guys, is this. The world often will make you feel if you're not good at something immediately, then that's not for you. If you're not good at something immediately, that is not for you. I have a saying, and it's not politically correct, but I say often that anything worth doing is worth sucking at first. Anything worth doing. I was talking to John last night, and he said that he wants to be a speaker. I was talking with Brenda Lees, and she said that she wants to be a better speaker. Brenda Lees is an amazing speaker. But the reality is, if you want to be something, if you want to be a good speaker, it's okay to not be good at it at first. Because the more you do it with practice and intentionality, you will become better at it at the end of the day. So it's not a bad thing to struggle with something. It's a bad thing to struggle with something and quit it because you don't have the confidence in self to say, you know what, I'm worth going to get this thing that I want. A drifter is a spendthrift. Have you ever found yourself in a situation, because I know I have, in a situation where there was more month at the end of the money, where you were spending more than you had, and you weren't thinking about how to save and how to keep, how to invest in you first as a person, to pay yourself first? Have you ever found yourself in that situation? Again, I know I have. And those were the times that I was drifting. I was just going with the flow. And what I found myself in a point where I was crashing on the rocks. I was literally crashing on the rocks. And the problem with that whole thing with me as a person, Brenda Lees, was I was doing it in such a way that I was blaming the world. It was the politics. It was the community. It was the fact that my parents brought me into this world and we were poor. It was everybody's fault, but I wasn't taking responsibility that I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. And because I found myself in that situation, again, drifting. One of my greatest mentors is a guy named John C. Maxwell. And I saw Kevin on here a little bit, and so he knows John. And one of the things that John says is that, and it defines drifter to me, it is there are people with uphill goals, but they got downhill habits. If you have uphill goals and you have downhill habits, where do you think you're going to end up? Every master was once a disaster. Amen. Amen. If you have uphill goals, best you develop uphill habits. And those habits are what leaders use. A leader says, I want this and I'm going to work towards this. A leader says, I am this. My best friend in this field is a woman by the name of Johnny Lloyd. And Johnny says that what you're looking for is looking for you, good or bad. What you're searching for is searching for you, good or bad. If you're intentional, and that's what leaders are versus drifters. Again, drifters is a person that lets things happen to them. A leader is the one that says, this is what I want, this is what I'm going for, and they will go through hell and high water to get to whatever they want. And that's what I want from you. I want you to understand what this whole thing is. What is a drifter? And do the opposite of it. A drifter lacks imagination. And when I say lacks imagination, what do you mean by that, Lefford? Great question. I'm glad you asked. A person with imagination, with creativity, will say this: how can I versus can I? And that's a huge distinction. Think about it. If you were to look at a problem, an issue, and you look at it as an opportunity, you may look at that thing and say, how can I achieve that goal? How can I become that versus can I? Can I, to me, sounds almost like you're asking the universe or the world permission to be the person that you want to be, the person that you want to be. But if you ask the question, how can I? Then that gives you an opportunity to say, there's some things that I can do, and that I have faith in me, and I have faith in the people around me to be able to get to the place that I want to get to. Does that make sense? I'm noticing that, which is pretty cool. Leaders go after it. I love it. I'm noticing in the Facebook thing that things will pop up where people making comments. Make comments to a brother because I like that. Uh, I'm not necessarily needing validation, but I want to make sure people know that I'm here and that we're talking together. A drifter has opinions on everything, but they lack knowledge. And when I'm talking about lacking knowledge, they don't understand accurate knowledge. And this is the thing for all of us. Again, we're reading great books, we're studying people, we're watching the news, we're consuming a lot of information. Do me a favor, y'all. Have an opinion on the information that you're consuming. Every Monday and Thursday, we have an event on Clubhouse, and Don Green is in that room most of the time. And we're talking about the principles of Napoleon Hill. On every week, almost every weekday, Monday through Friday, there's a study call with the Napoleon Hill Institute where people are passing on, they're reading information, and they're digging into the principles of Napoleon Hill's and other great leaders from time going way back. But this is the thing that I'm noticing. Many of us are drifters because I find myself doing that too. I'm reading this information and I'm just storing all of it in my head. I'm storing it. If you're getting all that information and you're doing nothing with it, you're drifting. And we're drifting in such a way that it looks cool. We're in the room all the time. We're studying. We got the books. We can parrot the information. But if all you're doing is listening to other people's opinion without taking those opinions and testing them for yourself, testing those things for yourself, and talking to your mastermind alliance and talking to the people that are closer to you and asking the questions and then going to put them in action. What good is it to be able to quote every verse in the Bible, but don't live it? What if you have a photogenic or photographic memory and you can look at a quote of Napoleon Hill? Let's say that if you can conceive it, believe it, you can achieve it. Let's say you say that, and let's say you believe that. Let's say you got it tattooed on your arm, but you're never conceiving anything. You don't believe in what it is. You believe what's on the paper. You can't achieve it. You can't. We have to do something with what we have. We have consumers and we have producers. I think, and I'm willing to debate this with anybody. I said, this is what a drifter looks like. A drifter consumes all but produces nothing. And if you just know something without doing something, do you really know something? Napoleon Hill said this, and I got this quote directly from Don Green. And Don said that if knowledge was power, every professor at every college would be exceedingly wealthy because they have unlimited knowledge. We have unlimited information. As I said, Monday through Friday, almost every day, you can go to Napoleon Hill Institute and you can get great information. But if you don't exercise that information, you might be a drifter. You might be a drifter. And drifting is not going to get you where you want to be. It may get you to a good place. It may get you to a really good place, but will it get you to the place that you're destined to go, where you're desiring to go? I say not. But if you're a producer, if you take the information, let's call it synthetic imagination, and you take some good information and you take that information and you consume it, and then you say, you know what, I am going to make this a part of my life. I'm going to take this information and I'm going to do something with it towards my definite major purpose. That is when we go from drifter to leader. Now, I kind of feel like I am preaching and I don't want to do that. So what I'm going to ask, if Brenda Lisa, if you're there, I want you to kind of come on so we can have a conversation, because I've been talking a lot about drifting, and then I want to go and talk a little bit about leading, and we're going to do that through what does a non-drifter look like. So if you get a chance, come on up and we'll have a conversation.
Yes, of course. I love it. This is amazing, amazing topic, Lefford.
Yes, yes. I got Judy. Wow, this power of drift is someone who consumes everything. That's not awesome. So Brenda Lee's. One of the things that I've noticed as somebody that is a leader is somebody that is a go-getter, somebody that wants something. I want to do a little bit of I call it a game. And this is for everybody that's out there watching. Who is the greatest leader that you've ever heard of, met, or seen? And why is that person a great leader to you?
To me,
Yes.
the greatest leader?
Yeah.
Wow, I have a few, but the one that just suddenly came to my mind the moment you asked me is Mother Teresa.
Yes.
Mother Teresa, because she's just serving. She's just serving and she's focusing on somebody else and contributing. And she had a big purpose. She had a big purpose, and it was to leave this world better than she found it.
Exactly. And I love that. And you know what? I guarantee you that everybody that we asked that question, and actually, if you're on Facebook, you're on YouTube, put something in the chat and say who your favorite leader is and why they're the best leader. And this is one of the things that I'll say about Mother Teresa to me that made her great. She did have a definite major purpose. She went for it. She didn't claim that she wanted finances for her. Everything that she did for other people, and but she had purpose. And it wasn't, she didn't wait for the world to do things to her. She went out there and did it. I took a course, Mahatma Gandhi, another great one. I took a course, and there was a statement that was made that made me pause. And the statement was that Mother Teresa had a high level of sexual energy.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, and it made me scratch my head, and I was like, wait a minute. And so I was talking to Johnny Lloyd about this, talk about sex transmutation and how you can take an energy and transmute that energy towards something that you want. And when they were talking about Mother Teresa, I couldn't believe it, so I had to go look at it. And even this nun, this tiny little lady who was a powerhouse, she had this determination to do and get what she wanted. She had charisma, which was sexual energy, but she also knew what she wanted and she went for it.
Yeah.
And anybody that knows what they want and they go for it, they're not drifting. You can see the opposite. You can see the total opposite. Somebody just made a statement or put in there Dr. Martin Luther King. Dr. Martin Luther King, another person who had a definite major purpose and went against the grain. Again, when you're drifting, you go with whatever happens, you go with, you flowing that hill. Imagine being the kind of person, Brenda Lees, that says, I will give everything up to my life to get what I want. And you don't even have, I love Kobe Bryant. We'll talk about Black Mamba too. We even when you don't end up getting what you want, a leader pushes and pushes and pushes. And when that leader looks back, they have followers. Dr. King at the mall in Washington, 250,000 people followed him. And
Wow.
because they followed him, we have changed the complexion of this country and the world. Brenda Lee, you know, you or I would not be sitting here doing what we're doing today if
Mhm.
it wasn't for a leader like that. Somebody that just not, you know what he could have said? Well, it's been like this forever.
Yep.
Nothing's going to change.
Mhm.
I'm just going to accept my lot in life.
Mhm.
I, I'm not gonna mess with you too much, but I will ask you a question. But I'm gonna share something real quick. When I first joined the military, when I first joined the military, I drifted along and followed a lot of people, Brenda Lee,
Mhm.
because I didn't feel good about myself. I mean, I was a guy, I had a lot of training. The military gave me some of the best training in the world. But because I wasn't confident in who I was, I would see people doing things. And because I wanted to fit in, I started following people,
Mhm.
even when I knew in my heart they weren't doing the right things.
Yeah.
Have you ever done that?
Of course. Yeah, I did that for a long time in my life. I will do things just because other people did it and I thought it was the right thing to do, right? I thought that was what I was supposed to do. And I really never questioned that because I didn't understand that I had that power within me to really change my situation, to create a better life for me. I didn't know that I could do that. I was like, well, I'm supposed to go to school, I'm supposed to have a job, I'm supposed to do so many supposed to do,
Right.
right? And I ended up half of my life doing that, just kind of drifting away and doing what everybody else was doing, right? And then when I got to this information, and then I understood, wait a minute, it's really up to me. It's really up to me. I need to know what I want. I need to have a clear path, a destination, right? Most
Exactly.
of my life I lived without goals. Most of
Exactly.
my life.
And I'll tell you something that's tricky. See, drifting is an insidious process, and people are like, what do you mean insidious? It's Jim Rome would say it starts as an infection and it ends up being a disease. And what
Mhm.
I mean is just a little thing that's not a big deal. Somebody's going in a direction, you don't have anything to do, so I'll just hang with them for a little while.
Yep.
Somebody will say, hey, you should do this. I
Mhm.
think this will be good for you. And so it's not like somebody's pushing you or throwing you. It's just a little light thing that you just start falling into line, and then you find yourself where you don't want to go. Um, I wasn't a strong swimmer a lot of my life. I mean,
Mhm.
probably 20 years ago, I got to be a pretty good swimmer. But I remember I went surfing in Hawaii. Well, I was falling a lot on this board, but we'll call it surfing. And I remember we were just all laughing and joking, and we're just sitting there on these boards. And we were talking probably for about a half hour. I looked up, Brenda Lee's. Yeah,
Wow.
we were way out in the water. I'm talking about I can see land, but it was a long, long, long way off. And I'm not a strong swimmer. And I got to be honest, I hate to admit this right now. I didn't even have a life vest on.
Mhm.
They didn't look cool. I mean, it was orange. Orange is not the new black. I don't care what anybody says. And I didn't look good in it. So, I was just, but what I found myself was almost in a state of panic
Mhm.
because think about it. I was with great friends. I was in Hawaii. The wind was blowing. It was beautiful. It was perfect. And I was just hanging on.
Mhm.
I was just hanging on. And as I was hanging on, I was just drifting into
Mhm.
the danger zone.
Yep.
A, a lot of us will make it sound like drifting is this uncomfortable and horrible, terrible thing. And it is on
Mhm.
the outside, but it's not necessarily on the inside. I was having the time of my life. I was in straight up chill mode, Brenda Lee's. but I was in danger because if I would have lost strength, if I would have fell off that board, I could have easily died in
Mhm.
ignorant bliss. So again, I'm saying that for a reason. Have you found yourself in a situation where it's comfortable? I mean, things going good. You're with your friends, you're laughing, you're having a good time. But then when you look around, you find yourself not where you want to be.
Mhm.
And if you do, and if we're honest with ourselves and we can recognize that, there is there is hope. There's hope because at the end of the day, I did have people around me. I did have a board that I could hold on to, and I had to kick like hell, excuse my English, to get back in, but I had a chance. So why am I saying that? I'm saying that for this reason. A lot of us will get into a situation, Brenda Lee's, and say, well, it's too late. I'm too old.
Mhm.
I've been in this job too long. There's no hope for me to turn around. But that's not true.
No.
If you take what we're going to be doing for the next 5 days, if you take this information and not just be a consumer,
Mhm.
take it and produce from it. Say, how can I turn this thing around? How can I kick in to go towards where I want to? The first thing I had to do, Brenda Lee's, I was had to say, where am I going? Because you know what could have happened? I could have just started kicking without developing a target and go deeper in there.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, it sounds funny, right? And it sounds silly, but how many of us have all of a sudden just start kicking
Mhm.
and we've never set our target? See, a leader, what a leader does is say, I want that.
Yeah.
For some of the fellas on there, I want her. Or some of the ladies, I want him. You got to call what you want
Mhm.
because where your focus goes, your energy flows, right? And so a leader goes for what they want. I You're not old enough to know what I'm talking about, but there was back in the day there was vehicles that didn't have power steering, Brenda Lee.
No way.
It sounded like I was telling some kids about there was a time we didn't have cell phones and they looked at me like, but there was a time where cars didn't have power steering. And if you could not turn that wheel without great motion unless you were moving. And so even when it's tough, even when it's hard, a leader can decide that's where I want to go. And even if you say you want to go that way, sometimes you got to go this way to go there because once you get moving, you can turn.
Mhm.
And so a leader decides, hey, this is what I'm doing, this is where I'm going, and you start moving. And then you get a target and you hit that target. And you may not hit it the first time, you may not hit it the 10th time, you may not hit it the 100th time. But if it is what you want, if it's what you desire, sis, we got to go get it.
Mhm.
And that is the best way that I could tell anybody to go from drifter to leader. Now, if you've not read the book, get the book, Outwitting the Devil. Everybody, we all have access to it, but instead of just getting, I want you to get it, I want you to read it. And there's a thing that the interview goes where the devil and Napoleon Hill are talking. And one of the things that happens is Napoleon Hill talks the devil into giving up his secret. And when the devil said this, he said, there's four tools that I use to get people to go in the wrong direction. So there's four tools. Remember I said earlier, Brenda Lee's, that you can't be aware of stuff you're not aware of. I
Mhm.
want you to be aware of the tools of the enemy. I want you to be aware of the tools of the enemy and ask yourself, am I getting beat with these tools? One of the tools was procrastination and indecision. Brenda, I'm a master procrastinator. And I know that sounds negative. I know it sounds negative. But see, I can procrastinate where you can't tell. It looked real good. It looked real good. I'm supposed to do this thing, but I'm really busy doing all of these things. And some of these things that I'm doing are really good. So are you supposed to be selling? Are you supposed to be selling something? But instead of selling, I'm doing TikTok videos, which is beautiful and is awesome, but I'm
Mhm.
not doing what I'm supposed to do. Am I supposed to be working on something that's going to move me towards my definite major purpose? But I'm spending 6 hours a day watching or reading or studying the principles instead of living the principles, instead of working the principles. Am I doing that? That's a form of procrastination, even though it doesn't look like it.
Mhm.
Indecision. Are you? Um, I joined a coaching program years ago. And in that coaching program, they had 5 lanes. Brenda Lee's. I danced with all 5 of those lanes at one time. I want to be a speaker. I want to be a coach. I want to be a salesman. I want to be a teacher. I want to be a trainer. I want to be a speaker. And so, because I was trying to go get all 5 of those things at one time, I wasn't moving towards anything very quickly. So I decided to jump into speaking. I decided because I love speaking, but I love coaching, I love training, I love all these things. This is what happened in my life, and this is that somebody's hearing me and needing what I'm about to say. So if I'm speaking to you, amen. Sometimes you got to pick that one thing and go in hard and get really good at that thing, and it will open up opportunities for you to do many. I don't want to make this a brag about me, but because I'm gonna tell you, I've messed up, I've screwed up, I've done so many crazy things in my life. But when I decided to become a speaker first, I just spoke and spoke and spoke and practiced and spoke. I got to a point where someone said, "Hey, Leffert, you're pretty good. Can you train my team?" The team that they asked me to train, Brenda Leaf, were 400 people. 400 people. Okay. So I'm going to try to train. So build a training program. Build a training program. Um, I, so to build a training program, I had to learn all these other things. This was speaking. And so I said, well, I can't do 400 at one time. I need to do 20 at a time. And so I had to do 20, start working with these 20. And so I start training people. I wanted to be a speaker. So I became a speaker and a trainer. Kept speaking, kept training, got a bunch of people. Okay, Leffert, all of these people are good speakers. Could you coach them how to use their speaking? Can you coach them what's a good thing, what's not a good thing? How do you do this? I went real deep in speaking. I'm a speaker, I'm a trainer, I'm a coach.
Mhm.
How do how do you become a salesperson? This is when I jumped into one of Jeffrey Gitomer's programs, and I started studying because okay, now I'm a speaker, I'm a trainer, I'm a coach. How do I sell my services? How do I sell my services? I got good at these three, and I had to figure out a way to sell it because there's an old. It was corny back in the day, but if a tree falls in the forest and nobody hears it, does it make a sound? If you're a great speaker, if you're a great trainer, if you're a great coach, and nobody knows and nobody buys, are you really a good speaker, trainer, coach? So I had to learn how to sell. I had to learn how to sell myself. So these things push me to sales. And now a consultant, I go into things and say, how do I get my people to be as successful so our company can grow? I need you to come in and talk, and I don't need you to coach or train because they already know that. Consult, help me do it. I went real deep on one thing, one definite major purpose, and it gave me. One of my favorite biblical passages says, your gifts will make room for you and put you before great men and women. The book said great men, but because there's so many great ladies out there, I had to put you into the thing. So your gifts will make room for you. So if you are a drifter or you're indecisive, then you don't get your greater blessings. But if you make a decision and you press towards the mark, you win. That's one of the tools that the devil uses against or the enemy. Fear. Fear. Often talked about the six ghosts of fear, but have you ever thought about doing something and then something immediately jumped into your head saying, nobody in your family ever did that? What if they laugh at you? What if you fail? What if you mess up? What if you're not any good? What if you pick this and not be able to change your mind and you're stuck with it for the rest of your life? That's fear, and it's a lie. Now, I believe fear is real. I'm never one of those people that say fear is not real. I think fear is real, but I think when we face our fear, we overcome our fear. Have you ever heard? Have you ever heard the story of the cow and the buffalo?
No, I have not. No.
There's a story about the cow and the buffalo, and they say that the buffalo out on the plains out in the Midwest, I was stationed in North Dakota for a lot of years. They say when a big storm is coming across the plain, what a herd of cattle will do, cows, they'll see the storm coming and they will try to run from the storm. And what happens is the storm catches them, and while they're running with the storm, and many of them lose themselves.
Mhm.
Where a buffalo, if a storm's coming this way, the buffalo will face the storm and run to and through it. So even though they're afraid and they hit it and they go through the mess, because understand this, there's some things that you should fear because there's some real dangerous things out there. But if you face it, you get through it much faster. You take your lumps, your bumps, and your growth, and you get through it. So fear is not to stop us. Fear, when we lean into it, can strengthen us. And so don't let the enemy stop you with fear. Don't let the enemy in me, stop me from going where I want. The devil will use that tool. The enemy will use that tool against you. Understand that tool and fight against that tool. Flattery, actually, one of my favorite tools. And again, there's the law of polarity there. I like to flatter. Not I don't like to flatter people that don't deserve flattery. But if I see a beautiful person, I'm going to call them beautiful. If somebody's talented, I want to give them talent. But when you know you're not doing what you need to or should do, and somebody's gassing you, what the younger folks say, I just learned that gas was something different when I grew up, Brenda Lee. It was, but gassing you up. If somebody's flattering you and you know in your spirit that you're not doing what you need to be doing, that's a problem. Now I'm going to step on a toe or two. I hope my sister Cynthia is out there. Cynthia Greathouse, a great friend of mine, and she always keeps me on point and in check. But we have a disagreement about this one particular thing, and I want to talk to that now. Brenda Lee's, and you've done it. Brenda Lee's is my sister. I love her. But she said I made some Yankee videos. Is that the right word? What's it?
Yeah, Yankees, okay.
What type Yankee, right? She was like, Lafford, that's not professional. It doesn't look good on you. And now what she could have done was say, you're awesome, you're amazing, you're cute, which you're right. You could have said all that stuff. You could have said all that stuff, and you can let me go butt it. So even for your good, somebody will tell you what you like to hear, what you want to hear, but not what you need to hear. Flattery can put you in a very, very bad place, right? So sometimes we gotta toughen up a little bit, Brenda.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we gotta hear the truth. I would rather somebody tell me a hard truth than a soft lie. I prefer that because I'm never gonna grow when you just gas me up.
Yeah.
So flattery can be dangerous. Propaganda. Um, have you ever been in a situation where somebody's been gossiping and talking about somebody and making, backbiting and telling lies. They're giving you their opinion. I don't know who said this, but it was one of the coolest things that I've ever heard. It said, "Don't let somebody else's opinion be your truth. Don't let somebody else's propaganda be the facts that you live your life by." Um, if you, everybody here knows Don Green. Don Green's one of my best friends. I love him like a brother. But this is the thing: you want to get him fired up, let him hear some garbage about Napoleon Hill, died broke and he wasn't really all that and all that. He goes in because there are people out there, and this is for the people that are leaders in Napoleon Hill, that are coaches or trainers. You're going to bring up Napoleon Hill's name one day, and not everybody's going to love Napoleon. And they're going to pull out some stuff. I actually have a really good friend that they say, "Here, this is, read this, what they said about Napoleon." And they will have you, they're hating on Napoleon, they're hating on what he did, and so they'll twist you up, having you not believing in yourself, and you'll stop right where you are and say, "Well, maybe I need to go get somebody else. Maybe I need to go get another thought leader," not knowing that we're dealing with the GOAT. Well, he's the second GOAT. To me, Jesus Christ is the GOAT. But when it comes to self-development and personal growth, Napoleon Hill is the dude. Him, right? But if you listen to the world, somebody that's ill-advised and they're not getting what they want out of life, you might find yourself, well, he's not all that. Propaganda is a dangerous thing. I will say this: I was in the military for a lot of years, Brenda Lee's, and I feel bad. They had me, the military, not the military, but people within the military had me hating people that were Russian, the former USSR, hating. Now, I had never met any, but they were the enemy, and so they were terrible, right? I was up in Canada, and I met some hockey players that were from Russia, and they were just like me. They had family, they had friends, they loved sports, they liked good food, they had their faith. These were good people. But because of all the things that I've heard, I judged them. And because I judged them, I didn't see people as people. And I hurt from that. Now, again, I'm not saying sleeping with the enemy. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you can't let somebody else's opinion be your fact. And today, in this time in the US, if you're US based, we're going through this whole thing in a huge political season. This is what I'll ask you to do. Take a look at anything somebody says to you, evaluate it, what you already know, and study. Don't just take it because somebody else says it, even if it's your friends and family. Now, I'm not saying being a doubting Thomas, I'm not saying that, but don't let anybody's opinion just be your truth, because that can hurt you. And finally, one of the tools that the enemy uses, and uses it quite well, is this whole thing called failure. I have learned more from my failures than I've learned from my successes. Far more. Even if it was not to do that anymore, right? But I've learned so much from my failures. Failure isn't failure until you quit. Failure is feedback. Failure says, what am I doing wrong? What can I do better? How can I look at this thing? Do I need to put more time into it? Do I need to put more effort in there? Failure isn't final until we quit. So failure is another tool. And this is 5 tools, guys. This isn't something that you got to get a PhD in. This is not something that you got to spend years and years and years in. But if you just take those 5 things: fear, indecision, procrastination, indecision, find something important and get to it. Decide on something and go get it. Understand that fear is okay. And fear is real. Fear is real. But if we face our fear, When you face a fear, the death of fear is certain. Flattery. Again, you can be nice, you can say good things, you can accept niceties, accept niceties. But if you know you ain't getting it done, don't fall into it. And I will tell you this: listen to your listen to your haters sometime, Brenda Lee. You'll probably never hear that on any kind of training thing. And sis, I know I got you here for a long time, and I will. I said I was going
I'm enjoying every second of it.
to thank you. And you know, and it just feels so much better looking at people, right? So, um, use your haters. Use your haters. Napoleon Hill said this. I think it was. I think it was in Think You Grow Rich or Grow Rich in a Peace of Mind. He said your haters will give you honest feedback.
Mhm.
Your haters will do that. So don't let your haters beat you up. But if somebody that doesn't have your best out there, listen to what they say and evaluate what they said. Because sometimes our friends and the people that love us won't tell us the whole truth. They won't. Um, Propaganda, again, I said it before, but it bears repeating. Don't let somebody else's opinion be your fact. And failure has been my friend. Now I don't like it. I don't like failure. I don't like it. But failure has been my friend because I've done a whole bunch of growing in that. So we've been doing a lot of talking, Brenda Lee. Uh, any thoughts that of what we talked, something that came up to you so we could talk to? And as I'm asking that, if y'all got something to say or think in the chat, put it in there because I'll be willing to address it because I'm not going to get a whole bunch of time after this to talk to you. So I really want to give us an opportunity to communicate.
Yeah, I love it, Leffer. I love every single one of those tools that you mentioned. And the last one for me, failure. The way I look at that is if we're not failing, we're really not doing anything. We're not taking action. We're not moving forward, right?
Right.
Because that we're comfortable. We're comfortable. We're just chilling. I dislike that word so much. I used to chill with my friends. I used to go chilling, and I still have friends that said, "You want to go chill?" And I'm like, "No, I don't."
No.
I do not want to go chilling. No, I want to go work on my life and the things that drive me closer to my purpose and the things that add value to me and to others and things. But chilling is not something that I love to do. So if we're chilling, that means that we're really pretty much drifting. I chilling to me is drifting, right? It's just being comfortable.
Yeah.
So failure is so important to fail. The more we fail, the more we grow and the more we advance towards what we really, really want. Because with every failure, there's so many lessons. So
Yeah.
our job is to really reflect on what happened, learn from those lessons, get up and keep moving forward.
Yes. Fail. There's a thing called fail, but fail forward because you're like, you
Mm-hmm.
fell forward. Now, I want to address that chilling thing because this isn't a disagreement, but I just want all of us to take a look at it. I want us to take a look at it, and this is especially for the Napoleon Hill coaches. Again, I know there are other people out there. We have to be intentional about the things that are important to us.
Mm-hmm.
So, personal growth and development is important. Our health is important. Our family is important. Our finances is important. There's a rhythm to this life. We need 8 hours of sleep. We need at least 8 hours of work. We got to have some fun time. We got to have some chill time, but we chill with intention
Mm.
because I'm not going to say it, but a little bird told me that Brenda Lees might be a workaholic. Might be. I'm not saying that, but she might be. I resemble that remark.
Yeah.
I think that there's a form of drifting where we're just grinding so hard we
Yeah.
never take a time to get a break.
Yeah.
So that's why it's very important to say, what are my big rocks? And the analogy of big rocks is that you've probably seen the bucket. You know, the guy said, you got bucket, you got sand, you got water, you got rocks. And so what people do, they get the little pebbles in the sand and they put that in first, and then they put the rocks on top. And more often than not, those rocks that are on never get in the bucket. So what are the things that are important to us? What's your things? I mean, I think that our physical, our health, our body health, that's
Mm.
hugely important. So we got to take care of that. Our spiritual, we got to take care of our spiritual, whether you're a religious person or not. There's a spiritual, there's a family thing. These are our big rocks that we gotta focus on and we gotta pay attention to. Again, I go back to financial. Money's not everything, but it's up there. Money does what money needs to do, right? For that purpose. I'm not talking about the root of all evil. I'm talking about bills and mortgages and vacations and all that. There's some things that we need. So we got to get our money right. Um, our social, our friends, our friends, somebody that's there for us and we're there for him. We gotta take care of that. So I say we have to be intentional about our big rocks. What are our big rocks? Because if you don't know,
Mm-hmm.
that can hurt you. Um, my children and my wife have suffered because I was so busy focusing on making the money for them. In my mind, I'm thinking if I'm making money, if I'm getting promoted, I'm taking care of them. But my wife wanted some time with me. My kids wanted some time with me. My first wife and I divorced because I was so focused on the bottom line that I wasn't worried about any of the other stuff. And I lost that. So
Mm.
chill with intention.
I love that. I
Chill
love.
with intention. Because again, everybody out there, I want to ask you this question. Are you so busy doing doing stuff that you're not enjoying what you're doing?
Mm-hmm.
Because you'll burn out. Ultimately, you'll burn out if that is how you're living your life. So again, especially for people like you, because I already know what's up with you and this whole event that's going on right now. Y'all, she looked cool. She looked like the swan. I'm not gonna say a duck because she's a swan. She on top doing the thing. She looking all smooth. Her leg. And that's what happens.
Yeah.
Um, and,
Yeah,
and
thank you. Thank you for that awareness, Lefford. And it's all about perception too, right? Because shilling doesn't necessarily, it's bad if you know why you're shilling, right?
why you're
Why
chilling.
you're shilling, and you're doing something that you love to do, and it's part of like having that amazing life that we're all creating for ourselves. I find myself loving everything that I do, Lefford, and I just love everything that I do, and so I just don't stop doing it. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I work a lot, but I work on things that I love,
Yes,
right? And so to me, that's like a dream, to be able to work and do the things that I love, only the things that I love, because I say no to so many things in my life.
right. And there's a question here from my brother Chad that says, "What filter do you use to identify to you what is a big rock in your life?"
Mm.
And and the reality is it's a great question. What matters most?
Yeah.
What matters most to you? You've heard this story. I don't want to bore anybody, but it was in Memorial Day 2021. I found myself in a hospital and my organs were shutting down. There was, I mean, the sad part was that somebody said on Facebook, "Did you hear that Lefford died?" I was like, "Well, no, I didn't hear Lefford die. I'm still here." Right. But that was the kind of thing that was going on. But this is the deal. There was a few weeks span that I actually started thinking about what matters most. And that's how you filter your life and what your big rocks are. If you found that you had 6 months to live, what are the things that you would be doing, and what would be the things that you wouldn't be doing? You know, how important is that? How important is that thing? Does it, is it more important to your children or your job or your peace of mind? Is it or no? Uh, Now, again, I'm not one of those guys that'll be like, well, you should only do what you love, because there's some stuff you need. I do some stuff that I don't love for the people I love. Y'all ain't heard me. I do something for the people I love that I don't love the thing. Because I love them, I'm doing it. I bought some property. I'm building a horse farm for my wife. I don't necessarily want to be a farmer. I did that when I was young, and that's hard work. But Brenda Lee, you should, I wish you could have been with me when I gave her the deed to this 16-acre plot of land. It was beautiful.
Mm.
Now, I don't want to cut grass and shovel manure and all that stuff, but the look that she gave me. And did you watch the movie? Did you watch the Lion King?
Yeah.
You remember that? Was it Nala? Nala, the lion, the girl lion with Simba. You seen that look that she gave Simba?
Mm-hmm.
That's the look that she gave me, right? Um, so I think Jeff just put something in the chat, but the reality is sometimes you got to do what you don't love doing, but whatever matters most to you. And again, that's being intentional. That's the difference between being a drifter and a leader. A leader will say, "This is what I want, and this is why I'm doing it," and they will put their time and their effort into it. This is a question that a lot of people, that nobody asked out loud. But what if you got a bunch of things? What if you have a bunch of things that you love doing, and it seems like you got more things to do than time? The reality, a leader is a thinker, and then you prioritize the things that matter most right now. What's important now? What's important now? Then you do those, and then give yourself an order and say, "Hey, I need to do this, but this can wait until next month. But next month, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna put a lot of time and effort into it." I don't think there's a work-life balance. There's all this stuff, and we got to do. You got to say what's important now, what matters most, and then get on that. Don't let the world tell you what's important to you, though.
Mm-hmm.
That's what drifters do. They get the pulse of society, and they say, "Well, what does my Facebook feed? What does Instagram say? What does the world say?" No, 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 no. What is important to you?
Mm-hmm.
And then do that.
Lefford, I also think it's important for people to stop and really take time out and think, what do I really want? Ask themselves that question. What do I really want? Like if you don't have a goal or purpose, a clearly defined goal or purpose, you need to take time out, turn off the telephone, turn off, the TV, and then write down what is it that you want. And if you don't know what you want, ask.
Yes.
Ask for guidance, and you
Yes.
will be guided, right? But we need to slow down and stop the noise and really take time to go within and reflect on what it is that we want. And then from there, everything else will unfold, right? Because now we have direction. Now we have a destination. We know where we're going. Everything starts from that point,
Yes.
right?
And I love when you say ask. I believe in prayer. So sometimes I'll ask myself, I'll say, what do you want? And then I'll pray for understanding. I'll just pray for it, and then I'll sit back and I'll do something with it. I guess it was Wayne Dyer that says prayer is us talking to God, and intuition is God talking back to us. So you pray for something, then you sit and receive, and then you do something. I think there's ways. I want to go back to this chill thing for a minute, because it's chilling with purpose. I don't think I don't think we should go too long without evaluating what we've done. So let's do a 1 week block. Let's say that every Sunday, if you sit back on Sunday evening, give yourself an hour and say, okay, this is what I want. I've already decided what I want. And so over the next week, I'm going to take my big rocks, what's important most to me, and I'm going to like write those things down. And then I am going to do something with each one of those. Every day, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. At the end of the week, on the following Sunday, you say, okay, this is what I said I was going to do. This is what I did. And evaluate how your life is going based on that conversation that you have. And then make a decision and say, okay, I'm going into next week. This is what I want. This is what I'm going to do. And just do that. I respect people that do New Year's resolutions, but I think you should have new week resolutions. And I want to get good enough that I have new day resolutions. I want to get good enough for that because I don't want it to go. I don't want to wait a year to see if I'm doing it right. But a week is a nice block of time to do that. And what that does, it helps. And then so you're chilling, but you're chilling with purpose. Because again, if you're saying, hey, I want to, you know what? I want to eat better this week. I will know by the end of the week if I'm eating better. And then you can make a decision on what to do. And so I think those are good ways that you can make a decision on where you want to go and then evaluate it. If you'll have a significant other or others in your life, and if you're in this community, you should have a mastermind alliance. You say, what is it that I want, but also what is it that we want? And get together with your crew and have that same conversation and be honest with each other. That's the difference between, again, a drifter and a leader, because that leader is, I'm being intentional. And not only am I being intentional about where I'm going, periodically I'm going to look back and say, okay, how am I doing? How am I doing? And even if you're not doing well, you can change that. You can change that, and then you can go further. Jeff, I think I saw something in the chat, but it went pretty quick. Are there any other questions or thoughts? Because we're going to go ahead and start wrapping it up because Brenda Lee's got some homework for us, y'all.
Yeah, I think some of the questions that we got here in the chat, you already answered. Yeah. So anything else you want to say about fear? Somebody asked, failure and fear have been my best friend for the past 5 years. Any advice you can give me about that?
Failure and fear have been, I like that because I'm kind of like that too. But we got to be smart, y'all. We got to be smart. I'm not going to be that dude that's going to swim with the alligators. I'm not. You can say what you want to about me. I think there's a healthy fear. Mm-hmm. But I also think there's a fear. There's a book called Lean In. Lady did a great TED talk about it. It said, if something makes you uneasy or nervous, maybe you're supposed to lean in. There's a book called The Obstacle is the Way. Sometimes the thing that we fear a little bit, the thing that we're afraid of a little bit, is the reason we're afraid of is because it's an obstacle we must overcome. Mm-hmm. So be afraid, find something that scares you and lean into it, but let's not be dumb. Brenda Lee was talking about she did a skydiving incident. She jumped out of a plane. I don't know why she did it, but hey, she's cool like that. But there's safety mechanisms around. I'm not going to dive out and just without a parachute, right? So we got to be smart about it, but face some things. So there's failures because you can fail forward, you can move forward. And there's fears, things that scare you a little bit, but it helps you grow. And so when we use it intentionally, that is what we're going for. But when we're just afraid, lying in a corner somewhere, that's not going to help us. That's not going to help us. So we got to be smart with everything. There's a dichotomy with love. You can love somebody so much that you're a stalker, or you're not in your mind, or you can love. So you got to balance that thing. You got to balance it out and be intentional. Be intentional about it. So um, I hope that was helpful with the fear thing. But again, I keep wanting to go back. I believe that I call it my spidey senses. There are things that I've done that, but by the grace of God, I would have been gone. But there was something that told me, don't go there. Don't do that. We got to listen to those voices and evaluate those voices to see where they're coming from. If I'm afraid to get up on stage and speak, or we get an opportunity like this, Cleona called me with the opportunity to do this. Fear says, only got 48 hours. I need more time. That's fear, right? But if you evaluate it even quickly, like, you got this. You've been studying this stuff for doggone 3 decades, man. You got this, and it's something that you're passionate about. Go for it. But if somebody were to call you and say, "Hey, I need you to go. Hey, I need you to go play professional basketball, whatever team," and you've not laced up a sneaker in 20 years, don't do it. You're gonna hurt yourself. You're gonna hurt yourself. So, something said how to make decisions. That's Judy. How to make decisions. Judy, can you add a little bit to that? What it depends on the decision that you're making, because to me, I make decisions on several things. Should I do this or should I not do it? One question is it leading me towards my definite goal or definite major purpose? Is it leading me that way? Is the risk worth the reward? Is it something that I need to do or want to do? That's what I use to make decisions. I use my philosophy. Is it going to be of good? Is it going to hurt somebody if I do this? No. That's how I make decisions. But this is what I will tell you. I'll say a formula. There's a guy named Brian Johnson, and Brian Johnson is a coach, and he says, make your decision in the grocery store. I love Rocky Road ice cream and chocolate chip cookies. If I'm trying to control my blood sugar, if I'm trying to control my weight, I'm not going to buy it.
Yep.
Don't put yourself in a situation. So I use formulas. So I already said it. How am I going to make this decision? Brenda Lee's, I'm going to say this and people don't judge me. If I look on my phone and it says Jennifer Lopez calling, I'm not answering the phone. Because I think Jennifer Lopez is cute. And I know that I don't have the willpower and to be like going on a date with this lady. Ain't happening. I love my wife, and I know it's silly, right?
Yeah.
But there's some stuff that you got to say no to.
Yep.
I'm not going to put myself in a situation where I got to make a hard decision. Yes, is this worth doing, or is it only my ego? I like Judy. I love that. So I make decisions early. Now, sometimes I got to ask myself, would I do this in front of my mom? Would I want this to be, would I want my kids to know about it? Would I want it to be on the internet, right? So sometimes you have to play with yourself, but you got to know you. But I'll tell anybody in this space, set up the parameters before you get in a situation. Set it up and then ask yourself questions, and be wise. We can make we can make mistakes, but make sure that those mistakes aren't fatal. What advice could be given on remaining consistent? Wow. decide what you want to do, and then put it on your clock, put it in your calendar, tell somebody about it. You got to be intentional with it, and you got to make consistency a priority. Because if you don't make consistency a priority, it'll go. I'm gonna give one more illustration, then I'm gonna give it to you for the homework assignment. Okay.
Sure.
I did a book with Jack Canfield, and one of Jack Canfield's friends or partners was Mark Victor Hansen, right? So he told about the rule of five. Brenda Lee's, this is what I promise you. You could take any tree in the forest, whether it's a seedling or if it's a giant oak tree. If you take an axe every day and you go out, a sharp axe, and you go out and you hit that thing 5 times every day. If you do that every day from now on, no matter how big the tree, what do you think is going to happen if you do that every day?
I'm going to cut it eventually.
Eventually. And it
Yep.
depends on if it's a little one or if it's a big one. But if you hit it 5 times a day with a sharp axe in the same spot, it's going to come down. The
Yep.
bigger the thing is, the longer it's going to take. But what will happen is if you hit it one day, you come back a month later, hit it twice. A week later, hit it 3 times. A week later, you hit it 57 times. It's not going to go. But if you hit it every day, no matter what it is. But for me, I have to put it on my calendar. I have to tell somebody. I have to talk to my mastermind, and I have to be intentional, because you can't be consistent if you're not on a good habit. Bad habits is easy. All you got to do is just chill, and bad habits will show up. But if it's something that you really want, you have to decide you want to do. You got to have your right motive, and nothing will stop you from doing that thing. So I'm gonna let it go, and I'm gonna give it to you for the homework, and then we can close this thing up together, my friend.
Amazing, Lefford. Thank you so much for this amazing information. So much gold in here, right? Everywhere. So what we want everyone to do is we want them to assess themselves, right? And determine if they're really a drifter, and what are some of those drifting tendencies that we have. So the Napoleon Hill Institute created our Am I a Drifter assessment, and we're going to send it to you. Actually, here it is. There's the barcode. You can just click on that barcode, and it's going to give you the assessment, and do it right now. And it's going to give you the results, and make sure that you read them, reflect on them, so that you know where you are. The first step is to be aware, right? Because you might think that you're not drifting, but like Leffer said earlier, like overworking is a sign of non-drifting. And you can think, oh my gosh, I'm just working. This is good. This is all good. But you could be drifting because you're really not working towards that purpose, to what it is that you want in your life. So let's make sure we do this assessment today. Take a picture of it, share it in the Facebook group. Go ahead and share with everyone your results, right? You're going to receive an email with all of the information and a recap of the lesson today that Leffer gave us. And then let us know if you have any questions. We'll be supporting you in the Facebook group.
Definitely. And, Brenda Lee's, I'm going to ask, y'all all have my contact email and my social. I am going to ask you to share with me whether you're a drifter or not. I want you to share and let's have a conversation, because this is what I found in my life. Forget being ashamed of what stuff happened. When I tell somebody something, then it comes to pass, because I can hide my own thing. And let us be a community. Let's give ourselves some white lines that says, if I go off, somebody's going to pull me there. So please share it, because we are too good. We have too many things to do to drift through this life. We have to live our life on purpose, right? Don Green, my friend and yours, he says that every day he gets up and he's looking for somebody to do something for, to make a difference in this world. you make something that you're here for. Because if you let the world do it to you, it will. But you have to put it on the world. And let's make a dent in this world. And that's what I think we're all here for.
I love it. I love it, guys. Let's just not take the information and the knowledge. Let's go act. Take action and apply. Do the drifter assessment. And we'll be back here tomorrow again at 12 p.m. Eastern. Thank you so much, Lefford. It was a pleasure being here with you, listening to your talk, right close and personal with you today.
Yes. Well, and thank you. Thank you for sharing with me, because I got to be honest, it was it's so much better when you can have a conversation. And again, use this, guys. There's a reason we said the mastermind is so powerful. When you got 2 or more people coming together in perfect harmony, good things happen. So, sis, I love you and I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you for everyone for being here today. We'll see you tomorrow.
Well, bye, y'all. Be well.
Hello there and welcome. I am Napoleon Hill, and I'm interviewing the devil.
You can address me as Your Majesty.
All right, Your Majesty, who are you?
I am everywhere and I am nowhere. I live in every atom, every particle, and in every mind. I am the negative to the positive, the down to the up, the dark to the light. I am gossip. I am greed. I am vanity. I prey on drifters, those with no direction, no purpose. I sow the seeds of doubt and weave the threads of worry. I am the one holding you back. I am the one that comforts you and numbs you. Who am I, you ask? Look in the mirror.
Now, Your Majesty, there may be drifters, but they have the opportunity to become free thinkers. I believe in each one of us there is a guiding light, a beacon of hope. It is a flame burning in each soul, ready to ignite if given the chance. It resides in the hearts and minds of all individuals awaiting realization. There is potential in all of us.
Outwitting your inner devil.
From drifter to leader.